Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Tiki Talka. I'm Arena Paredes. That's Travis. And here's a quick preview of what we're talking about today. I'm so tired of hearing Newcastle's hands are tied.
He took a struggling Newcastle team and made them a Champions League contender.
City is much higher on the Big Six ladder than Chelsea is.
Jose Mourinho. Will he come back for a third time?
It feels like maybe his time has come and gone.
He just seems the older he gets, the more dramatic and problematic he gets.
He'd see who Blueco's calling him and just declined.
Not only has he not proved it in England, he hasn't proven it in Europe.
If that happens, oh my God, we've lost the plot.
If Germany crash out of the World Cup, then what?
He'd go to any other club in the Big Six before he goes to Chelsea.
I don't want to sound like a Southgate basher, but he might be the worst coach on here.
If Chelsea were to offer him this job, he would say yes before they even finish the sentence.
Out of anybody on this list, Unai Emery is the best manager.
This is likely as unappealing to me as the Spurs project.
Why would you leave your throne for a dumpster fire?
It seems like logic is not in their wheelhouse when they make decisions.
All right, guys, so as you can see, we are going to be looking at Chelsea today with the news that Liam Rossinier has been sacked, opens the doors for new management to come in. Now, as we go through this, we are going to be doing it from the perspective of Blueco. So if we were the sporting director of Chelsea under Blueco, what manager are we looking for? And we're going to have them ranked into these bins that you see here, from perfect, good, not quite right, and unrealistic. So we'll start by dropping them in the final three bins. And at the end, Joey and I will pick one candidate who we think is going to be the perfect match for Chelsea. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in straight away. We'll go from left to right here. So Fabian Hürzeler, managing Brighton. I think he's doing a pretty good job. He's fighting for those European spots right now, and he's been there a couple of years. Had one small rough patch, but overall, I think he'd be a good fit. He seems like he would be kind of like one of those yes men that would fall into the coach, not necessarily a manager of a football club. What are your thoughts?
For me, I think I'm going to put him in the not quite right category, to be honest with you. I see why you think he might be the yes man kind of guy, but just seeing how his teams are organized and how they run, especially at Brighton, I don't think he really likes meddling, or will just say, yeah, I'll take whoever you're going to throw at me. Director, I don't want to say in transfers. Like, I think he's going to be super, super against that. So, I don't know.
That's kind of what he's in right now at Brighton, though. He's under Tony Bloom's, data analytics team, and they're the ones scouting and finding him.
Yeah, but they're finding him for his system, right? I mean, Chelsea is just kind of finding anyone who's anyone.
Well, you have to remember, Chelsea did take half of Tony Bloom's staff over at Brighton. So they took their data analytics team.
Yeah, I mean,
some of
that's where you're taking data analytics team, and you can for sure. I mean, data is one thing, but it's using that data correctly, and you can have all the data in the world and say these are the 20 best players on the planet. We need them on our squad. All right. Well, how do they fit into our system? Do they like to play on the wing? Do they like to take their man on? Are they more of just staying tight, compressed? Do they like to be a possession-based team? Do they maybe like the counterattack? Like, what are they good at? And I think that's what Chelsea's kind of doing. They're just saying, all right, these guys are good, so they're supposed to come good. So let's just sign them, and we'll figure it out. And I think at Brighton, it's more of like, okay, these guys are good, but do they fit into how we like to play football? And I just don't think Chelsea's doing that. That's why I say, nah, no way he's going to be cool with that one.
All right, I could concede on this one. So we'll throw him in the not quite right category. So let's alternate. Why don't you take the next one with Eddie Howe?
All right. I kind of want to say he would be a perfect fit, but
really,
the way Newcastle has progressed since he's gotten there, they've signed on all of these big names and maybe have lost players and trying to, reload. They haven't really gotten any better. They've just kind of stagnated, maybe gotten worse, arguably. So for me, I think Eddie Howe would be a really good fit. He'd be for sure okay being the head coach there, just saying, yep, I don't care what you guys want to do. Just let me know and I will do it. But yeah, he's not perfect. He's not the bed that's just quite right. You can't lay down and go to sleep in this, but you can for sure lay down and, enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. When you look at Eddie Howe, he took a struggling Newcastle team. And when he was at Bournemouth, same thing, took him up the flights of the EFL. But he took a struggling Newcastle team and made them a Champions League contender. Now, it's not quite consistent. I will give you that. It's, 1 year he'll make it, and then the next he'll drop out of it. I don't think they have the squad depth, and I think that's part of the reason. But his hands are tied at Newcastle. He has the richest owners, essentially, of any team, but he doesn't have a sporting director, at least not a good one. So he was really in charge of those transfers. I would say he's probably a better coach than he is a sporting director. So maybe you take that role away from him. And Chelsea seem to have, 5 sporting directors. So I think they'll be fine with what they
Yeah.
have. So I would put him in good, though. I think he's solid, man. He's a good coach. This season, obviously, has taken a dip. But overall, Eddie Howe is a strong candidate.
Yeah, I haven't been good, and I'm so tired of hearing Newcastle's hands are tied. Like you guys spent 75 million on Wisa. No one told you to do that. You're
Correct,
the
but
idiots
they lost
that spent
Issa.
that money. Your hands aren't tied. You're just bad at spending money.
Well, they can't hold on to their players. And I think Aston Villa's in the same boat. We'll get to that later. But I do think there are some clubs that have rich owners but can't break that top 6 barrier, if you will. We talked about that in one of our previous episodes. So I think
Yeah.
he's in that boat. But as just a pure coach, he does seem to me like he's also one of those guys that will just take the direction. More of a soldier, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, the return of the special one, Jose Mourinho. Will he come back for a third time? So for me, I don't think so. I think it's done. Been there, done that. You don't go back to your ex a third time, right? Also, he's over at Benfica. He has a $6 million release clause, and I don't know if you've seen the reports lately, but it seems like he's pitching himself for the Real Madrid job.
Yeah, to return to Madrid, not go back to London. Go back to Madrid. What are we talking about?
Correct. And I understand why he would want to go back to Madrid. Who doesn't? But boring, just very boring. I don't want to see him anywhere near Madrid. But to pitch yourself, even though you're on a current team right now fighting for the title, that's not right. He just seems the older he gets, the more dramatic and problematic he gets. So for me, I'm going to put this in not quite right, unrealistic. Yeah, that's not for me, man. How about for you?
That's why he's a special one, no? He's Jose. He just does what he does. He says what he says. I think there's actual serious motion to the Madrid offering. I think it's much more than Jose just saying, "I'll come back and coach you guys." I think Perez is definitely like, "Okay, would you actually want to, Jose?" Like, because we believe in you. We think you could turn things around. What are we talking about here? Yeah, he's in between not quite right or unrealistic to me. Let's say the Madrid job falls through and Jose pissed off Benfica's management enough where he's gone. Then yeah, I think he'd maybe be open to returning to Chelsea and just dealing with whatever headache Blueco has in store for him. I'm sure he'll be much more of a headache than they can be.
Having him just be that drama queen that he is, I'm going to put him in unrealistic. And the reason that is again, he's going to be causing too many problems. And as we've seen since Blueco has taken over, they got rid of Tuchel, who is loud and makes noise. And since then, they've brought in a couple guys who either are or said they were going to be yes men. And the moment they made any ruffles, gone. Jose, I think, is just going to be too much, and he's going to cost too much. So I think that's unrealistic for me.
No, 100%, dude. It'd be cool. Who doesn't like Jose? But nah. No,
he's entertaining, but I wouldn't want him from any. If I was Chelsea, I would not want him for any of my teams.
Team really wants, Jose. Realistically, feels like maybe his time has come and gone sometimes, but he's still here. He looks like they're going to win the Portuguese league. So still got something.
I think he's in second right now, undefeated. He hasn't lost. He's technically invincible right now, but they could still not win the league. Too many ties.
Oh, that would make me so mad. That would make me so unbelievably mad.
So why don't you take on the next one? Xabi Alonso, your boy. Where are you going?
What really, really sucks is that there's real validity to the rumors that Chelsea's lining up Xabi to be their next manager. And it's looking increasingly likely that Slot's going to stay at Liverpool next season, even though Slot's saying he's not going to be a long-term manager, which I'd love to hear from a gaffer. But anyways, I'm going to put this at not quite right, even though I want to put it in unrealistic. because I think a manager of Xabi's ability and character, just Chelsea is just the antithesis of what he wants to be and what kind of football club he wants to be at. And you can say whatever you want to say about City because he wants to manage City at some point potentially, but Chelsea is just the original big money club. No history. You just bought a bad team, dumped a bunch of money into it, and now you're just only recently successful and you act like you're one of the big dogs. I think City, with having Pep, they have more prestige than Chelsea does. Honestly, I think City is much higher on the big six ladder than Chelsea is. But that's neither here nor there. Because there's no movement for Xabi to go to Liverpool or another really good club. He might go. Even if he hates the sporting director, he might just actually do it just because it's the job that's going to pay well and he's in a good league. What do you think?
No, dude, I don't see it. I know you're talking about there being links. I haven't seen any strong ones yet, but I can't see him. He's going to wait for Liverpool, whether it's this season or honestly, do you think Salat's going to last another full season? I think he's going to wait for that job, dude.
If
I think
we
he's waiting for it.
have similar form as we did getting into October, no, Slot's easily gone.
Now, if I'm Blueco, I'm definitely going for Alonso. Don't get me wrong. I think, he plays 3 at the back and with wing backs, right? You have a perfect setup there. You have Cucurella who can play on the left. You can do Reece James. You can mix and match. They have plenty of options playing right. But I don't see it. There's no Chelsea connection, no Chelsea link. I think he's just Liverpool till I die. Unless it's you said like a City or something. I don't see them spending the cash and going for Alonso. So I personally I would put him in unrealistic.
Let me ask you this. Yeah, I know this is the Chelsea FC future manager discussion. Looks like City want either Alonso or Maresca. If you're City, who do you go for? Because Maresca kind of started this whole mess that Chelsea's in now. Who, no matter whose fault it is, it's because Maresca left.
Okay. If I were City, I think I would go for Maresca. And I don't think that means he's a better coach than Alonso, because Alonso obviously did the Invincible season and he won the trophy. Maresca also won trophies, and he is a quote-unquote disciple of Pep. So it'd probably be a slightly easier transition, and especially because he knows most of the players from being there. So I would think they're going to go for Maresca.
Yeah, I agree, and that's my hope. That's what I'm really hoping for. Thank you for concurring with me. I appreciate that.
So you good with unrealistic?
I'm good with unrealistic. I won't fight you.
You're wishing.
Yeah. I won't fight you too hard on that one. Yeah, he's unrealistic.
All right, so next one, Andoni Iraola. For me personally, solid, good option. He already stated he's going to leave Bournemouth. There's been links to him to go back to Spain, and particularly, I think it was Bilbao. But we just saw somebody get appointed and linked to that job already. Personally, I think this would be a good option, good fit. He seemed to do it back-to-back with Bournemouth, pushing for Europe and losing a ton of players and still being able to keep them competing at that high level. I have nothing but good things to say. There's a ton of teams linked with him, and he's going to be one of the big top managers in the next 5 years. So I would put him in good. And then at the end, we can pick one for the perfect, but for me, he's up there.
Yeah. I'm going to stop myself in my praise for Areola. So he'd be good. He's had young kids at his time at Bournemouth, and he's developed them, had them play just completely out of their minds and be some of the best players in the Premier League. And he sold those guys to bigger clubs. They've just pieced out, and Bournemouth hasn't really lost a beat. They haven't lost any kind of rhythm. I mean, they're a smaller club, right? So they're not always going to win every game. They can't realistically with the resources they have. They will compete, and they will hurt you if you don't respect them enough. With his ability to develop young talent, which Chelsea has almost an excess of, and his way to have players play better than what they really can play, that's kind of the perfect place to be at. You give this guy essentially a blank check. I'd take the risk and see what can you do, man. You sold Housen, Semio, and Kirkes, and Bournemouth is still a very, very good team.
So it sounds like we both have them in the good categories.
Oh, yeah, easily.
All right, let's fly through this next one here. So Xavi Hernandez.
Isn't there somebody that screams Chelsea more than Xavi Hernandez? No way, dude. No. Xavi wouldn't even consider this job. He'd see Blue Coats calling him and just decline, say no.
I'm right there with you, dude. No ties to the EPL at all, except when he dominated them in the Champions League. He did well at Barca. Granted, he worked with kids well, but again, I don't see him sitting back and keeping his mouth shut.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Next one, Diego Simeone. Honestly, dude, I've been struggling with this one. He's been linked to leave Atleti at the end of the season. He's obviously just drew 1-1 today, as we saw in the Champions League against Arsenal. Good coach, solid coach. I think he can play with the 3 center backs and do 5 at the back with the wing backs. He's done it plenty of times at Atletico Madrid. So actually, like coaching wise, I think he would be a really, really good fit. He might be pushing for that top spot. But here's the thing. He's the highest paid coach, and not by a little bit. He's the highest paid coach by far, even way more than Pep. I don't see Chelsea dishing out that kind of money. When you look at the way Blueco's been running not only their player, but manager, coaching strategy, and payouts, I want to put him in good, but I think it's going to be unrealistic.
Yeah, I have him in not quite right. I agree. There's no way they can afford him. It sounds right. It sounds like it's good. And I'm like, yeah, why not take this risk? Maybe Simeone comes on, he whips everyone into shape. He'll produce and develop some great guys, and it'll be a very difficult football team to play against. I think how Simeone likes to play matches up pretty well to the Premier League. But yeah, Blue Co is just basically just buying a small business and hoping it develops into like a multinational corporation. It's weird. It's the weirdest way to go about running a football club. But when your ownership group is called Blue Co, I got nothing for you guys. So yeah, I put him in unrealistic, honestly.
Okay. Now I'll let you take the next one. Cesc Fabregas.
Who isn't this a thinker? Because Cesc was at Arsenal and Barca, but I think a lot of people now associate Cesc with Chelsea. So this would be fun for him to go back there. He's done well at Como right now with a young squad, so you send him with a young squad. It's potentially better talent-wise. Give him some more money and let's see what he can do. However, I think Cesc is a lot smarter than to just go after the first shiny new thing to come his way. I think he's already said too that he's going to stay at Como next season because they have European football. I put this down not quite right just because Cesc wants to see what he can do with his current club. But maybe I thought he was going to for sure go next season. I thought that was going to happen. That was a word on the street for most of the year, but he said, nope, I'm going to stay. So maybe next year, maybe they get a 1 year stopgap kind of guy, but I don't know what psycho in their in their right mind would take a position for 1 year.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Not quite right is where I would put him. Do I think he's a good manager? Yeah, he should be in this category. However, like you said, he's with Como. He stated he's going to stay at Como. Big clubs have already tried coming in for him, and he's rejected him. A couple reasons. One, looks like he's going to qualify for a Champions League spot. Two, he's a minority shareholder for Como. So he's going to take him as far as he can, and when he thinks that ship sailed and done, then he'll leave.
Yeah.
He still has Nico
100%.
Paz and all that stuff. So I'm right there with you. I think he's a good coach, but it's not quite right. I think it's a year or 2 years early.
It's just not good timing. Maybe it probably happen in the future, no doubt.
I think Arsenal and Barcelona are probably the two clubs, the two that would actually make him turn his head. Obviously, he has ties to Chelsea, but I don't think the project is
not at all.
not enticing enough for him.
It's hard doing this because if you're a manager right now, a young manager, like say you're someone who's like Rossinier, right? You have some potential, you're exciting, up and coming young manager, and you're just doing what you can in the league you're currently in, and you're learning as much as you possibly can. And then this giant club who you're signed to their parent corporation. They say, hey, we're going to transfer you. We're going to go to Chelsea now, one of the biggest clubs in England. We're going to give you a multi-million-dollar contract for 6 years. Congratulations. You're like, I don't even know what formation I like.
All right. So the next one, let's move on to Felipe Luis. Now, Felipe Luis, yeah, ex-Chelsea player. He was only there maybe, I think, about 2 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Recently, he's only coached one club, and that was Flamengo. He coached the U17s, U20s, and then the first team. He was only there for a couple of years. They had like a falling out. He got a bigger contract out of that somehow, but then they ended up just cutting the contract, letting him go, calling it a day. But he did win, I think it was like 4 titles with them, something like that. 3 titles in 4 years, something like that.
Like the 4 major cups in South America, I think.
So he's done well. And if I'm Blueco, I actually think they probably would go for somebody like that because he's not too experienced for them. But I don't think he's quite right. I would put him in the not quite right category because I don't think he's done enough yet, especially in the Prem. So that I would put him in the not quite right category.
I have to disagree and put him in the good category because the reason why Felipe Luis and Flamengo had a falling out is because Felipe Luis was talking to Blue Cow about taking over the Chelsea job until he found out that it was to take over the Strasbourg job. And he said, no, not taking that job, going back to Flamengo. They said, no, we hear what you're going to do. No, you're out of here, man. And then, yeah, he got a bigger contract out of it. But for me, I put him in good. They wanted him already, right? He's kind of an exciting becoming manager. They've signed players that are, hey, this guy might be good, and they're not really on anyone's real radar, if that makes sense. They're not on a scouts top 20. Like, these are guys that are going to be world beaters someday. They're just signing good talent that they've heard from a friend of a friend that this guy's going to be the next best thing. And this feels like that might be Felipe Luis, so I put him in that good category.
So the reason that I shifted that down to not quite right was because not only has he not proved it in England, but he hasn't proven it in Europe just yet. And I think that counts for something, which is why they were trying to push for him to go to Strasbourg first to try and get his feet wet, see if he could actually do it in maybe a Champions League spot or something like that. So that's why I have him there. But I'll let this one up to you. Which one should we put him in?
I put him in good, dude. They already won it, and they were trying to get him. So, I mean,
All right.
it's already in the works, right, to get him in Chelsea at some point.
All right, next one. Take it away, Joey. We got Julian Nagelsmann.
Unrealistic. There's just no way he's going to go. He's going to leave the job he's at now to come do this dumpster fire that is club football. I think he's very happy where he's at in Germany. So just totally unrealistic for me.
Well, let me ask you this. If Germany crash out of the World Cup, then what?
No. Still no. Nagelsmann is too pragmatic to want to go to a club like Chelsea. He'd go to probably any other club in the Big Six before he goes to Chelsea. He might go literally anywhere before he goes there, man. There's just no way. Like this Chelsea, it's like Tottenham. There's just too much in the background that people aren't aware of that makes doing your job almost impossible, man. I mean, Maresca did so well because he's probably an elite, like next level coach. But we only saw that level of Chelsea because whatever they have going on. Maybe Rossinier is a good coach. He can coach a Champions League level team. Maybe not a league winning team, but you can't really see that because who knows what they're doing there, dude.
I'm a little torn between this one because he did sign a contract extension with Germany. So right away, my head's thinking unrealistic. But he is a good coach, man. What he did at Bayern, I think it was wrong of them to sack him at the time they did. He was doing good stuff over at Bayern. Germany doing all right, but I think he is a solid coach, man. And he has been linked with Spurs and many clubs, even United in the EPL. So I kind of want to put him in good, but I can easily go in unrealistic depending on how Germany does in this World Cup.
Well, I mean, Germany's going to do well in this World Cup, man. Musiala, Wirtz, come on now.
I'm not confident, but it seems like you have strong feelings on him being unrealistic. So I'll move him here for now.
Yeah, no, there's no way, dude. If that happens, oh my God, we've lost the plot.
All right. Next one, Frank Lampard returning again a third time.
Super Frank.
For me, I'm struggling, dude. This either going to be not quite right or unrealistic. And the reason that I say that is because he just got promotion. He won the championship with Coventry. He's getting promoted. He's going to go to the Prem. Would he leave for Chelsea? Maybe, but he seems like a man of honor, and he's going to just do at least one season, if not more, with them. If he gets relegated, then maybe he'll, be open to leaving again. But I don't see it. I don't see him going back there. They didn't have faith in him, which is why they didn't give him the position full time last time. And I think he actually admitted that it was a mistake going back this last time. Should have stuck his ground and said no. So for me, I think it's going to be unrealistic. Maybe sometime in the future, but right now, for me, I don't see it.
Yeah, and for me, all of that is why I had to put him in not quite right. I think for sure there's no way Frank Lampard is going to say no to Chelsea if they come and ask him to be manager again. Like, seriously offer him to be manager, not a caretaker. I think they seriously say, hey, we want you to be gaffer. Here's a 3-year contract. He'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it. And I'm only saying that now because he has actual management experience. He was at Derby. He came to Coventry when they were, I think, 18th. And they fought for promotion last season. And now this year they've won the championship. So
You think he'd leave Coventry? I don't
I don't
see it,
think he
man. I
would.
don't.
I think he'd stay, but I don't know. I just feel like it's hard saying no to home. You know what I mean?
It is. It is. I think it's just a few years too early.
Yeah, it's probably like Fabregas. It's just you're a little too early for this to work out.
Yeah. All right. So next one, we'll start with Marco Silva. So take it away.
All right, Marco Silva, not quite right. And the only reason why I'm not putting him unrealistic because if Chelsea were to offer him this job, he would say yes before they even finish the sentence. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But it's not quite right because I just don't think he's a good enough manager to be at Chelsea. A club like Fulham, mid-table, you're not really fighting against relegation, but you're not really fighting for a Champions League's position. You're just fighting to stay in, get the Premier League money, and I think that's his level. So not quite right for me. What about you?
I was right in the middle between good and not quite right. I don't think he's as solid as some of the managers that we're going to have when this is all said and done. But he is good. I do agree that though that if Chelsea called, he would leave in a heartbeat because he does seem like he really does want to move from Fulham and take a bigger job to make a name for himself. So I can't really use that against him, but I don't know. I don't have that same fire and belief that he's going to take them into Champions League consistently either. So yeah, I think I would put him right there. Not quite right.
And it's weird because when you watch Fulham games, sometimes I'll watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, Marco Silva might be the next best manager, dude. This guy is like, he's pretty good at this. He's getting the best out of a lot of players. And then the next week, you're like, holy crap, Fulham is dog shit. Like, this is crazy.
Let's move on to the next one. We have Oliver Glasner, still, as of time of recording, the Crystal Palace manager. I know they wanted him out. Obviously, he's leaving at the end of this season. And I'm a little bit torn on this one as well between good and not quite right. Now, if you would have asked me this a year ago, I would have said good because he was flying with Crystal Palace. This season, not so much. They're mid-table, maybe slightly below. They're just they're struggling, they're fighting. And it seems like whenever he was going at it with the board, just not only the team's form, but his form's also dipping. Yes, they lost Olise over the last couple of years and Mark Gahey. Some of that's not all down to him. I think that the battle with the management and the boardroom, I think, is going to be a turnoff for
Yeah.
Chelsea. I think he's
Yeah.
a good coach, and I think he's going to be adaptable and use this. And I know he would want this job, but I just think this Chelsea board, I think they're just so turned off by anybody that's going to battle them. If they see it, they're just not going to go for it. So I would put him in not quite right.
Yeah. I think not quite right is the best spot. And hypothetically, he is a really great fit for the job. He'd love to have this job. I think he would do great things with that young squad. That's what he did at Palace, right? Publicly dueling with your board and then saying I'm leaving and making it like a known secret that you want out so bad. It's not a good look. And Blueco already doesn't like when their players say that. So I don't think they'll particularly be super jazzed up when managers starting to get aggro like that either. So not quite right. It want him to be good, but nah, no way.
Fair enough. All right, so let's move on to Gareth Southgate, currently out of work after the England job. So what's your take on that?
Unrealistic. Nah, I just think Southgate was a good international manager, but I think if you had him as a club manager week in, week out, you'd want to quit. So just no, just totally unrealistic for me. Just no way, man. I wouldn't want to play for Southgate. And England played good football, right? It's not to say he's a bad tactician, but I just don't think he's particularly inspiring.
Okay, I got to take a breath because I don't know how to do this, Joey. I don't want to sound like a Southgate basher, but he might be the worst coach on here, in my opinion. Yes, he did well with England, but personally, I really do think that was down to the players,
Yeah.
not necessarily him. He seems like a good man manager, if you will, nowhere near Ancelotti, but one of those, hey guys, let me put an arm around you. I'm going to back you up. But as far as tactician and going to a club team and training tactics to beat some of the best managers out there,
You have a new
I think he's
opponent
going to
every
get
week.
crushed.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it in an international level with one of the best teams. Anytime he came up with a manager that had some tactical savviness about him, got destroyed. They sat back. Now, if he's going to do it with a counterattacking team, maybe. I know he said he would do it for United. He would come out in management, but he never said anything about Chelsea. So, yes, I agree. He would be an unrealistic, but Again, I'm not trying to bash, but I'm being honest, man. Other than him being like a nice guy, I don't see why Chelsea should ever go for him.
If you want the yes man who is just going to do what you say and boost up a lot of soft egos, Southgate's your guy for sure. But I think if you're serious about being a competitive football club, getting to the heights that you were once at, winning a Champions League,
Yeah.
you don't hire Southgate. You just don't.
Yeah. To me, Gareth Southgate is the most yes man of a manager you can get.
More than Eddie Howe?
Probably.
Whoa.
He's never managed a club this big.
That's true.
I mean, neither has Eddie Howe, but at least he has Newcastle. And he's been in the Prem longer. He's been able to prove it. Last one here, Unai Emery.
Good evening. Good evening. Are you ready? Are you ready? This
Ready.
is the hot take. I think Unai Emery would be a good fit. I really think he would be. He was at Arsenal in the past where they won 50-something% of their games. They didn't win very often, but I think that might have been a jump too big for Emery at that point of his career. And he took some steps back and he figured himself out, was at Villarreal, and come to Villa. He's been here for a few years, and Villa's good. They're constantly competing for Champions League positions. They kind of pretend to be title challengers every so often. It'll be October. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, Villa's within 2 points. But they never do it. Come on, it's Villa. They're not going to do it. But I think Emery's got his feet on him now in England. He knows how to handle bigger egos now. You send him into Chelsea with real money and I think a lot more talent. Might be a pretty exciting thing. Might be a very exciting project. What do you think?
So for me, out of anybody on this list, Unai Emery is probably, as of recording, the best manager. He's lights out. I think he's a fantastic tactical genius. He's has those trophies to back it up. He's managed some of the biggest teams in the world. I do think, like you said, he's got a lot more experience now. He's proven it in the Prem on a limited budget at Villa. They have like a 90% wage bill over at Villa, so they constantly have to sell their best players every year as well. There's a couple things that for me would knock it. Normally, I would say big egos, but you look at Chelsea right now, there's only a couple. They've really bought in a lot of kids, so it doesn't really have to worry about that. If I were Chelsea, I would definitely go for Emery. But here's my problem. Chelsea are what, 7th, 8th? Villa's in 4th. And yes, they might have limited resources, but he right now is the king. He controls the transfers. He controls the play. He's everything. He's not going to get any of that at Chelsea. He's going to sit there, be a good boy, and you're going to be the head coach. Why would you leave your throne for a dumpster fire? Although I do think he's going to be in a big club again eventually someday, I don't think this is the project. He's going to go somewhere where he's going to have full control, full power. So for me, I would put him in unrealistic. But I do think he's the best. He's just because I don't think they can convince him. I would go for him. Again, I think he's the best, but I don't think they can turn his head.
Well, no, you made a good point. Yeah. I had him good for sure. I thought he'd be a really good fit. Maybe he might be the number one contender, but just given how everything's run over at Chelsea and how they like to do business, and Emery is kind of a control freak from what we can tell, he's not going to want to leave his palace to go to live in squalor. It's no way. I mean, it sucks because this is likely as unappealing to me as the Spurs project for its own different reasons. If you want to have a real manager, it's really hard to sign someone on, and you need someone who is willing to take a risk on themselves and prove to the world that they're, the next best manager to go down in the history books. So maybe Emery knows that that's not where he has to do that. Yeah.
So are we going unrealistic?
Yeah, I'll put him unrealistic.
So as we can see, we have 3 choices right now and good. We're going to pick one of them. We're going to come with a consensus here of going into the perfect. We've got Eddie Howe, Areola, and Felipe Luis. So out of these 3, I think it's a pretty clear choice. Who I would go with, who can fit into that nice mold of being a manager, who's going to be able to train young players, who's going to be able to take punches and stand back up, who's not making a lot of noise with the board, who's proven it in England time and time again. For me, it's Andoni Iraola. I think he's done fantastic work at Bournemouth. I don't think anybody really comes close. He's hands down the choice. He's done fantastic, dude. I can't say anything bad. It sucks because he's a candidate for the United job. Like I said, I think he's going to be going over the next 5 years to some of the biggest clubs in the world. Eddie Howe's had a little slump. Felipe Luis hasn't proven in Europe, so I think he's a clear front runner.
I wish I had more to add on to what you just said, but yeah, he was my number one choice, Ariola. It's a team of young kids, and it only makes sense to get someone who's good at developing young talent, I think, and that's just kind of where Chelsea's, I guess, fully buying into. It's probably the youth academy and just buying young teenage talent and get someone who's produced some of the best youngsters in the world currently, man. Kirkez, love that guy. Semyon, I mean, he's good, man. He's pretty good. Sensi's pretty good. Chavanier's pretty good. Chelsea's best option is to get Areola. Now, the question is, will Chelsea make that choice? Because it seems like logic is not in their wheelhouse when they make decisions.
I think this is a solid pick.
Yeah.
Who knows what they'll do? They might pick the next Strasbourg manager. But for me, if you and I were running this, we're Blueco, we're trying to fit within the mold that they're doing. I don't think there's a better coach. Matt.
No, he's the best manager on the market for this club, easily.
Well, that's all we have time for today, guys. Thanks for going through this with us. As you can see, our number one choice, if we were Blueco and running Chelsea, would be Antonio Areola as the best coach. So if you guys like this video, please leave a like, subscribe, leave some comments, and go ahead and hit that notification button so you don't miss a beat. So we'll see you on the next week's episode, everybody.
Laters.